Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen.
Hi everyone and welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about some myths that maybe need to be dispelled. People will come to me with different questions, and one of them is, if I exercise or weight train, I'm going to get bulky, so I don't want to do that. That's actually a myth. It is, in order to bulk up with weight training, it's a specific type of training. There's different types of weight training and reps and sets and weights. It's very specific in order to get bulky, along with the type of how you feel your body. Those things combined will make an intentional bulking. In general, weight training or exercise does not make you bulky in general. So there is one myth busted. So I use exercise for a lot of things, not just my physical health. It's also great for your mental health or even recovery. Sometimes changing my activity to aid in active recovery. I'm still moving. It's just a change in exercise. I can use it to recover. So we're going to go through warming up the body today. We're going to move into some exercises that, as we said, are not going to make you bulky. And if that's something you want to do, that's where you're going to need to talk to a trainer. And then we're going to cool down the body, but that's not all. We've got an interview portion, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for some tips and tricks and discussion on health and wellness. So all of the things that we're going to do today, I'm going to give you a seated option as well. You always get to pick and choose what works for you, because exercise should be adaptable. But we are going to start with something that makes me laugh a little bit. This just seems weird and awkward to me, so I like to have fun when I exercise, so why not? And it actually is really good for the tightness in my shoulders and my back, so hopefully it does the same for you too. So either seated or standing, I want you to think of your spine as a large stack of Legos. And before you go any further, I really hope you've cleared an area for yourself today. So move anything out of the way. You can have water close at hand, but not where you're going to trip. But you want to have a nice open space to exercise. And if you want to have a buddy with you, make sure you're not running into each other. So standing or sitting nice and tall, your back is like a stack of Lego or stack of blocks. So you want everything nice and tall. Your head is in line with your spine, so that means your chin is not tilted forward or your head is not tilted back. And if I were to poke you in the belly, which is not very nice, but if I were to poke you in that belly, that kind of reflex in and up of the abdominals, that's where I want you to kind of set your abdominals so you're not sucking it in. You're intentionally kind of bringing those abdominals in. So you can have your hands at your sides. The inside of my hands or my palms are facing the outside of my thighs. I want you to take your arms straight out to the sides, about shoulder height or a little higher, whatever, because you're going to bend your elbows, keeping them open. You want to take your hands behind your head. Your thumbs are underneath that bony ridge of your head, and your hands are kind of cupping the sides or back of your head. I have very long fingers, so mine are kind of wrapping around the head. But the important thing here is to keep your elbows as open as you can, not extended back behind, but open to the sides. If they don't open all the way up, don't panic. It's just a slightly different range of motion. Okay, and we're going to draw circles with your elbows, which feels so weird. These circles are probably not going to be very big, so don't panic. And if you want to give yourself a head massage, you absolutely can at the same time. This can be dual purpose. So I'm drawing circles with my elbows. I'm very uncoordinated, it feels like. But I'm feeling this in my shoulders, which is an area of tension for me. Now I'm going to reverse those circles. Oh, that's tough on the concentration process here. Reversing those circles. And that's just a little bit of fun, but it's warming up your shoulders. And release. So stretching before a workout, should I or shouldn't I? We're going to move into some torso twists, and I'll talk about stretching. So take your arms at your sides, seated or standing. I want you to bring them straight out to the side, so your palms are facing the floor and your arms are about at shoulder height. But guess what? You can do this with your hands on your hips. You're going to twist from side to side. So using those abdominals to protect the back. So think of activating like I was going to poke you in the belly. I want you to twist to one side and just let your arms follow, and back to the center, twist to the other side, and back to the center, and twist, and center, and twist, and center. So you can release those arms, or you can continue on. Stretching before an exercise routine. No, it's not bad, but the type of stretching can be bad. So those long held stretches that we do, you want to save those for the end. Dynamic stretching, which is something like we just did, can be done before a workout to prepare the body and reduce injury. So we want to get the blood flow going, the body prepared. Longer held stretches, save them for the end. So stretching is not bad, it's just how you do it and what you implement. So in the next one, we're either going to do a hop or a step, or for the upper body, what you can do is take your arms so they're at your sides, bring them straight out to your sides, so your palms are facing down, they're about shoulder height, and you can swing them in front of you so they cross over. So bring them in front, cross them over, open them up, and if you can or want to, change the cross so the other arm is on top as you make kind of an X in front of you and open back up. And I want you to speed that up. So that's what you're going to be doing. It's a dynamic movement. For those of us that want to do a little lower body, we're going to hop or step. Now, I want you to imagine, so this would be at my right side, it could be at your right or your left, there's a log or a snake. I'm going to step over. So arm swings, or you're going to step one foot, then the other over this snake, one step, 1 foot, then the other back over, or you can hop 1 foot, then the other, 1 foot, then the other, or you can 2-foot it. 1, 2, so arm swings, or you're gonna hop. So what I want you to do is grab a drink, and we're gonna be back with the exercises.
Get ready to exercise. Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen. We'll be right back. Let's exercise. Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen is back.
All right, before we get moving, let's dispel another myth. Now, this one I'm going to say with caution because I'd like you to consult your healthcare provider or your nutritionist or your dietitian if it is an issue. But I've had people say, I can't eat bananas and carrots because they're fattening. Well, if it does something to your blood sugar and it's something that you're not supposed to eat because you're on a specific diet, that's one thing. But bananas and carrots themselves, they're packed with nutrition. So if it's something your dietitian or your nutritionist says you're not to be having or limited, that's one thing. But just in general, a banana, I might think my grandson ate 4 bananas the other day and he's just a little bit of a thing. So no, they are packed full of nutritional value. The only thing I tell him is if he keeps eating bananas like that, he might turn into a monkey. So we're gonna get working the lower body and the back and guess what, the core, because it's a little bit of everything. So we're gonna start off with one of my favorites, and that is a deadlift. So I'm going to utilize some weights. So I'm just going to bend down. I'm going to grab my weights. You do not have to. This can be done seated or standing. And just because it's one of my favorites, I had to throw it in. The standing version trains a lot of the posterior chain, which is your butt and the backs of your legs and so think of the back, posterior, back. If you're sitting, it's going to do a lot for training that back and your glutes as well. The motion is the same standing or sitting, but do not use your back to lift the weights. Or you can actually use a broomstick. It's quite brilliant for just keeping your form in line. If you have neither, don't worry. You don't need any equipment. So I'm starting standing, or please, by all means, be seated. I'm standing nice and tall, or have that seated posture nice and tall. Your belly button is kind of that inactivated. I'm going to have my hands hanging at my sides. I have 1 3-pound dumbbell in each side. These are a little bit light when it comes to deadlifting for me, but this will be great for form. So my palms are kind of facing the outside of my thighs. Now I'm going to take my hands in front of my legs. So my palms would be, or my knuckles are on the tops of my thighs. Now I'm going to bend at the knees. Think of pushing your butt back. And now if you're seated, you're going to hinge at the hips or bend at the hips, keeping your back flat. I'm going to slide those weights or broomstick or your knuckles down your legs. My knees are going to bend if I'm standing. Not quite to 90. And I want to take those weights roughly to my shins. If they don't reach the shins, don't panic. Okay, you might have really tight hamstrings. Now I'm going to bring those weights back up, but I'm using my lower body or my belly to do so. So my arms are just straight in front of me. They're not doing the work. They're just going to stay there as I straighten the knees if I'm standing or start to straighten up if I'm sitting. So I'm straightening the knees, straightening the hips, squeeze your butt cheeks, and come up to standing. And those weights just come with you, or your bar comes with you. So we're going to do that again. So we're going to go for, let's go for a set of 8. We're gonna try for 3 sets of 8, so either seated or standing. So I'm gonna bend at the knees, push my butt back, my abs are tight. Now, can you hold a dime between your butt cheeks while you're doing this? Not really, just please pretend. Okay, and dragging the hands down. So that's just the arms are kind of hanging intentionally. And it's like dragging, those fingertips are gonna follow, or your knuckles are gonna follow as you straighten the knees, butt, and you stand up tall. And again, hinge and bend forward. I'm about just above the mid shin. I have very long arms though, and I'm straightening up. So if you're sitting, think of squeezing that belly in, squeeze that butt, and hinge and deadlift. So we're extending down. And this would be a very controlled part of it. This is the toughest part of the deadlift. And up. So imagine you have 300 pounds on this bar or your dumbbells, okay? And down. So it's very intentional, and the down is very intentional because you don't want to drop it on your feet. So think of it that way. And squeeze to come up, squeezing your butt muscles, your core muscles, and your back is nice and flat. Let's go for 2 more. So your back is flat because if I were to come and poke you in the middle of the spine, it shouldn't be rounded and come all the way up. But rest assured, I'm not going to do that. And 1 more. This exercise works big muscle groups, okay? And up, so you can shake it out if you wish. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do another set. I want you to focus on that form. Notice what your core is doing. Shoulders are down the back. You don't want to squeeze your shoulders up towards your ears, or you're gonna kind of lose control of that core, and it's not gonna feel very good. So your arms are straight, not locked, so don't force them, but they're nice and straight. So imagine you're holding that heavy bar and hinge or bend at the waist. I'm pushing my butt back because I'm standing. I'm still looking forward towards the wall in front of me. So my knees are bent and my knees are not shooting over my toes. They're kind of around the ankles, a little bit ahead of the ankles, and straighten the knees and come up to standing or a nice tall seated position and fold or bend and come up and bend. Don't drop that dime, because you want to work the butt. We want to work the butt, whether we're sitting or standing. Hinge. And this is not a quick exercise, because imagine picking up 300 pounds. It's not going to be super fast. And we've got 3 more. And we want to keep those shoulders stable because we don't want them doing the work. We don't want to be pulling with our arms. You're never pulling a deadlift with your arms. And pressing those hips back or hinging at the waist. Your power comes from your legs and your core. And hinge. And up, 2 more. Because think of the power in your core or your legs, either or. And back up, as opposed to just your arms. There's much more power. And hinge. And up. Okay, I need to shake it out. So we're gonna shake it out and we're gonna do another set. So if this gets to be too much and you find you are pulling with that upper body, set your weights or your broomstick down or your white cane down and just work on form and think of, I always tell people, you're gonna put your shoulder in your pockets. So what that means is they go into their spot. Instead of being up by your ears, where do your shoulders, where are they supposed to sit? They're supposed to sit down the back, okay? So let's go into another set. I'm taking my weights to the front of my thighs. I'm gonna bend at the waist. I'm pushing my butt back because I'm in the standing variation. Otherwise you're hinging at the hips, bending the knees, lowering those weights down and coming up, nice flat back. My butt is doing most of the work and my core. Do not drop that dime and down. Back up. This to me is and let's go back down, very empowering movement. When you feel like whether you're pretending to lift or are lifting heavy weights, this gives me a sense of power at deadlift. And back down. And back up. And this is our halfway point and down of this set. And back up. And back down. And back up. You're gonna give me 3 more. Usually the shoulders start to kind of give here in the core, so make sure everything's in line. Nice flat back. Don't drop your dime. And up. Hinge press your butt back, or kind of make that fold at the waist. And back up. 2 more. Hold. And back up. And last one will give you your 3 sets of 8. And down. Don't let that form go. That is the most important. And back up. When I was training for this, I did train extremely light to start because getting that form down was more important than lifting the heavy weights. So seated or standing for this next one, we're going to work on the chest and back. I'm going to just simply set my dumbbells down. So I'm bending at the knees. I don't want to drop the head down, because if your heart rate is up and you drop your head down, you might go forward, especially if you have balance like mine, which is a little bit off. If you're seated and you have a safe place to set your weights beside you, that's great too. So standing, my feet are about hip distance apart. That's my usual kind of stance for exercise, unless I tell you to kind of widen your stance. I'm going to bend at the knees a little bit. If you're seated, you want to hinge at the hips a little bit, so you're going to fold slightly forward is what that means. Your back is nice and flat. So standing, I'm also going to add that little bit of a fold forward. I'm going to push my bum back. Back is flat. I'm going to let my arms hang just in front of me. Just let them hang so that the side's kind of in front. Now my palms are facing each other. I'm going to make fists, or I'm going to grab onto my dumbbells here. I'm going to bend my elbows slightly so my arms are a little bit rounded on the outside, it seems like. And I'm going to bring my arms open, pulling my elbows back behind me. So think of opening some wings. Bring your elbows back and up. And then close that movement. And I want you to do this intentionally. Imagine squeezing into the back when you open and close. This is going to work the chest and the back. And open and closed and open. And when you close, it's closed with the same deliberate movement. It's slow and controlled. And open and close. Both parts of an exercise are equally important, the contraction and kind of the release motion. Open and close with control. That's where the work is in both parts. Open and close. Open and close. And open and close. And you've got one more. Open and close. So you can shake it out, and we're going to head into another set. Okay, shaking it out. I'm going to hinge forward. You can take a longer break if you need to between, by all means. Letting those arms kind of hang. Palms are facing each other, making fists or grabbing my dumbbells. Soften or bend those elbows a little bit. Open your arms out to the side. Bring your elbows up and back. So your arms kind of rounded. And release. Elbows stay slightly bent. And open and closed. And open and closed. And open and closed. Close, open, and deliberate close. 2 more. Open and close, and open and close. You can shake it out, and what I'd like you to do is give me 1 more set, and after the break, we're going to switch gears into a couple more exercises.
Keep moving. Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen. We'll be right back. Back to the exercises on Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen.
All right, so I've swapped out my weights. I was using dumbbells before. I was using 3s. I've swapped it out for 2s because we're going to do some work on the shoulders, and this is what feels better on my shoulders. Now for this exercise, you can be standing. You can be seated in a chair. I'm actually down on the ground, sitting on my butt, cross-legged. Okay, so whatever is going to work best for you, but regardless, think of having that nice tall posture. So sitting up nice and tall. My arms are down at my sides right now, my palms kind of towards the outside of my legs, so they're facing inwards. And what I'm going to do is I'm either going to use dumbbells or not. If you're not, you can go ahead and make light fists. And now I'm going to bend my arms, so bending the elbows, and I'm going to bring my weights or my hands up towards my shoulders. So I'm taking them up towards the shoulders, so just above and in front of my shoulders. And I want you to bring those elbows open so that your palms are now facing, or your fists are facing the wall ahead of you. So my arms look a little bit like goalposts, not quite 90 degrees on either side. So just above and in front of the shoulders. So what I want you to think of is if you had that broomstick or had a giant barbell in front of you, you don't, when you press it up and bring it back down, you don't want it to hit you in the nose or the head. That's not going to feel very good. So keep that in mind. So that's why using a broomstick sometimes is really good to get the form. So what I want you to do, this is your starting position. I want you to press your arms straight up. So you're straightening your arms and raising them above your head. Bend those elbows, bring it back down to just above and in front of the shoulders. So squeeze your back together. So think of me putting my finger in between your shoulder blades, and you're kind of squeezing there and under your shoulder blades. You're going to feel that squeeze as you come down. So press up, squeeze down, press up. And if this gives you a lot of tension, like it's uncomfortable in a bad way, put the weights down and up and down, because form is key. Up and down and halfway up and down. So as I come up, my weights aren't touching there. My arms are still about shoulder distance apart, but if they come in and touch, that's also okay. And down, up and down, and two more. Up and down and up and down. So I'm going to place my weights down. I'm going to do the second set without. So where do you put your head? You want to be looking forward and keep your head in line with your spine. So think of that stack of Legos or stack of blocks, because if we start bringing our head back or down, we're changing our alignment of those nice little bones and discs. So coming back to that starting position where I'm bending at the elbows, I'm bringing my weights from my bar about shoulder height, just above shoulder height, and in front, opening those elbows out to the side, so a little bit like goalposts or 90-degree almost angles, and pressing it up and bringing it down, squeeze between the shoulder blades and up. And think of those shoulders sliding down your back. It can feel really good. And up and down and bringing up, reach up tall and down. And when you reach up tall, keep those abs tight, and keep them tight as you bring those arms back down, up and down. And we have two more, bringing it up and down. And last but not least in this set, up and down. So you can feel free to shake it out and figure out where you're at. Like, are these doable? If these are doable, you can keep on. If you're feeling muscle fatigue, you can pop your dumbbells down. If you don't have dumbbells, you can use soup cans, but it needs to be the same type of soup, because chicken noodle and mushroom soup, way different. And you don't want to use different weights. So into that starting position where your arms are almost like goalposts. Remember, you don't want to hit yourself in the head with a bar. So imagine there's a bar that has to kind of clear your face. So it has to come in front of your face and down towards your chest. So pressing those arms up, bringing them back down, squeeze between your shoulder blades as if you've got my fingers there, and press it up. Core is tight, bring it down and up. Guess what? You can do this in a single side exercise as well. So one side at a time, up and down, and down. And we've got two more, up and down and up and down. All right, shake it out. And here you can do this seated. You can shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and lower them down. You can do that holding dumbbells down at your sides. They're going to be your palms facing towards the outside of your thighs. So there's a seated option, but I'm going to lay down on the mat. Lay down on my back because I'm going to focus on a bridge exercise. So I'm laying down on the mat, so shrugs are your option, or you're going to lay down on the mat. Your knees are bent, your feet are flat on the floor. Relax your back into the mat, and imagine I'm going to drop something on your belly, so you're going to tighten those abs in and up. We're going to pick up our hips. What's really important here is we're going to slide those shoulders down so they're not up in our ears. I'm going to place my palms flat on the floor. You can place your hands on your hips, whatever is comfortable. So my knees and my feet are about hip distance apart, and I'm going to lift up my hips into what we call a bridge position. So imagine you're pulling a Kleenex out of a Kleenex box with your butt cheeks, and bring those hips up. Don't change the positioning of your head and neck. Want a nice long spine, and lower it down. So we're going to go up into that bridge position, bringing it up and lowering it down. This is something when I do the bridge position and hold it, pick it up. My grandson likes to crawl underneath, or sometimes I have a dog that crawls underneath. So, and lower it down. So you're squeezing on the up and squeezing on the down. Or in your shrug, squeezing it up and sliding it down. Up and lower it down. And up, keep that core nice and tight. Pick up your Kleenex, don't drop the Kleenex, bring it back down, and we've got one more. Picking it up and bringing it back down. So with your head, in order to keep it, sometimes we get a little, our head just kind of moves when we're doing our bridge position. So imagine you're holding a orange with your chin. So you're just nodding your chin slightly. It's a big orange. It's a big, juicy orange, delicious orange. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into the next set. I'm gonna put my arms on the floor, palms flat, because this works really good for me. And I'm gonna pick up those hips, pull your Kleenex out of the Kleenex box, and now I'm gonna lower back down, but I'm not gonna let my butt quite touch the ground. So if you're going ahead with those shrugs, slide them up, shoulders towards your ears, and lower it down. So picking it up and lowering it down. Picking it up and lowering it back down, and bringing it up and lowering it back down. So that lowering motion is very intentional, keeping that core tight, and lowering down and up and lowering it down. So we have one more set. So you can reset here if you're doing those shoulder shrugs, which you can use dumbbells for. I want you to just shake out the shoulders, or just take this time to just let everything relax, but you do have to reset it all. So I'm gonna press reset. And I want you to think of that bridge. Do you have pets that are gonna crawl under there? You're gonna watch for that. If you have toddlers in the house that are trying to think this is fun, you're gonna watch for that too, so you don't come down on that bridge on them. Okay, so reset the abdominals, shoulders down the back, no matter which variation of the exercise that you are doing. For my bridge, my palms are going to be flat on the floor. And I'm going to nod my chin just slightly, so I've got that giant orange between my chin and my chest. And I'm going to pick up those hips. So picking them up, squeeze, you're pulling that Kleenex out of the Kleenex box, and lowering it down. Picking it up and lowering it down. Can you slow down your bridge motion just a little bit? Or your shrugs. Pick it up, very intentional, real extra squeeze at the top, and lower it down. Pick it up and lower it down. We have 4 more in this set. Picking it up and lowering it down, and picking up and lowering it down, and last one, picking it up and lowering it down. So good job. You can shake out your arms. You can bring your knees into your chest if you are in a bridge position. And what I'd like you to do is grab a drink, and then we're going to get ready to stretch all those muscles out.
Keep moving. Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen.
All right, it's time to cool down and stretch out. So we want to stretch out the muscles that we've worked. So as I talked in the beginning, in the warm-up, those dynamic stretches, that's what's going to get you warmed up. These are the longer held stretches, so feel free to hold them a little longer if you wish, and enjoy them. We don't want those quick movements. We want to just let those muscles stretch and relax, and take these movements with you throughout your day if you'd like. So standing or sitting, I'm sitting down on my mat, cross-legged. You can sit in a chair as well. Depends on your space. Sometimes I do this one in the office. So my arms are hanging down on my sides. I'm going to bring them all the way up overhead. So I'm sweeping my arms out to the side and bringing them way up overhead. My palms are facing each other and my fingertips are pointing towards the sky. Now, this might be enough for you if your shoulders are really tight, but if you can, if it's comfortable, you might have to bend your elbows just a slight bit. Go ahead and clasp your hands, so interlace your fingers. Okay, so think of stretching up through those knuckles or through your fingertips, but don't push your ribs out forward. You want to keep that spine in line. Your head is also in line with the spine, and what we're going to do is this reminds me of the shape of a banana, so we're going to bend to the side. So using those arms, you're going to make kind of a curve, like a moon maybe, into a side bend. You're going to feel through your side. If you feel like you're going to kind of fall over, if you feel your balance is off, you just release one hand and put it to the chair or the floor beside you. So reaching and back to center and reaching to the other side, making kind of that moon or that banana shape. And back to center. And one more time each side. Reaching to the side. Let your head follow the movement. And back to center. And to the side. You want to keep your butt cheeks on your chair or the mat if you're sitting. And back to center. That feels fantastic in the shoulders and the back. So like I said, you can use one arm, you can use two arms. So I'm going to stay in a cross-legged position, or you can stay seated. And if you're going to be seated, you can do this as a forward motion, or you can stretch forward onto a table, a surface. So sitting nice and tall, I'm going to bend at the waist, so I call it hinging at the hips. So I'm going to fold forward and I'm going to walk my fingertips. I'm on the floor, so if you want to use a surface in front of you, you can walk your fingertips forward. Otherwise, you're going to fold forward in your chair and you can let your arms hang, or you can walk your hands down your legs. So I want you to think of having a flat back, and I'm going to keep my head higher than my heart to start. Okay? So after we've exercised, we always want to make sure our heart rate comes back down. That is another point of the cool down, and why we do it is to bring that heart rate back down. So you want to walk your hands forward till you feel a stretch. And I'm going to come back up. So like I said, hold it for as long as feels good. Now we're going to do that again, except I'm going to change the cross of my legs. I'm sitting on the floor, and we always cross our legs or cross our fingers in one particular pattern. It's just our natural body's patterning. I'm just going to switch that up, and it feels a little bit weird. So I'm going to walk my hands forward again. Nice flat back. But this time, if you want, you can let your head and your neck relax. Relax that fold. Now you can either stay here, or you're going to walk your fingertips towards the right. So I'm kind of stretching towards the side. And I'm going to stretch back to center. And I'm going to go to the other side and stretch. So you can hang out here, you can do this again. But what I'd like is, I want you to stay moving, stay motivated, but most importantly, stay with us. We'll be back for the interview next.
Up next on Healthy at Home, Bobbi uncovers her inner artist. We're back with health and wellness tips on Healthy at Home with Bobbi Janzen.
So we're here to talk art today, specifically art therapy. I'm here with Diane Shannon. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Bobbi. Thanks for your interest in art therapy.
I'm so excited. So we're in your studio space, and we have some, if I'm correct, some art supplies and some art around us.
You're correct. There's art on the walls, the doors, there's shelves of art supplies, there's a sand tray in the corner, and there's a kettle in the corner for making tea.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Can you tell me what art therapy is?
Sure. Art therapy is different than art making because it's more about the process and less about the product. So the creative process, all the way from choosing art materials to using them, and then working with me, asking questions and reflecting on what's been made in the process and how you find meaning in that. So it's more than tools in a counselor's toolbox that facilitate the therapy. The art is the therapy.
And that sounds amazing. And you work with all ages, you were saying?
Yeah, I do. Children as young as 2 and then all the way up to 102.
I find that it doesn't matter what age I am, just working with, and I've gotten more of a love of it as I've gotten older in art, it can be very relaxing. So I think you said normally people kind of choose their own, that's in their control for the therapy, but I think you brought me some things, specifically tactile today?
I did. So when I work with people who are partially sighted or blind, I usually set up the table with materials so that they can orient themselves with touch on the table. So I'll use sound. For example, I'll place a tray in front of someone so that they can hear where I've placed it. I'll invite them to touch the edges and then maybe describe, so in the basket in front of you, there's pipe cleaners, feathers, cookie cutters, and a stamp for pressing into the modeling material that we have. And so I'll hand the modeling material to you. So I'm holding that out in front of you. You can touch it.
It is soft.
It is so soft. So this is a material that works really well with people who have sensory concerns. So clay can be messy and plasticine can be sticky. And what you're noticing is that this is very soft and the temperature is usually nice too.
It is. It's like a little firmer than a marshmallow, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's not cold.
And it's not cold. So try squeezing it.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
So it really responds to touch, so you can feel the texture and you can tear it apart, stick pieces together, and
it's very like a marshmallow.
It's very much like a marshmallow, yeah.
Oh, but it's functioning similar to Play-Doh without that gross feeling.
Well, and the smell too. So plasticine and Play-Doh can have a smell that can be off-putting for some people. So this doesn't, well, I can't smell anything.
No, me either. And Play-Doh is something it does not make me feel fabulous. Didn't love it when my kids used it.
Right.
That smell.
Yep, so this is easily used by people with sensory concerns, with touch and smell, and very responsive to touch. So you can really feel the texture change as you manipulate. So you can feel the fingerprints.
Nice.
And you can stick things in it. So that's why I have the pipe cleaners here and the feathers. So if someone's making a sculpture with it, they can stick items into it. They can create a shape like you're creating right now.
I think it's kind of a round shape that I'm making. I'm pressing it into the table. And this can be done by people of varying abilities, whether they're using their hands, their feet, their elbows. It wouldn't matter.
And it's not sticking to the table.
Oh, it wasn't sticking to my, it's not.
It's not. Yeah, so it's a great material to use.
Okay, may I?
Of course.
Okay, so I'm reaching into the basket and I'm feeling a fuzzy pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stab it into the
Stab it in.
I had a really good day, I promise, as I'm stabbing things into clay.
But you make a good point, and something that's important about art therapy is the emotions that people can put into the art making. And so you're not feeling stabby today, so you're gently putting the pipe cleaner into the modeling material. But if someone was feeling upset and activated, they could tear that material apart, they could throw it at the wall, they could create a creature that looks angry. So there's lots of ways of expressing emotion through there. Or you've had a good day, so you're gently touching the material and exploring it.
And it's soft. The pipe cleaner is soft. The clay is soft. So I was calm when I came in. I'm feeling very calm now as well. So this would be a beautiful component to not just our physical well-being, so touching on that mental and emotional health in a different way to process or to work
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. So choosing the materials then that respond to your emotional needs. So some people may want something to poke or stab at the clay or really dig into it. There's other materials that, like for example, pieces of wood or a
Oh.
pine cone that you could press into it. So I usually find out from clients when they see me how they respond to the different materials and how I can support their therapeutic needs with the types of materials that are offered. For people at home who want to use creativity to relax, like you were saying,
Yes.
then you'll want materials that are soft or responsive or support your need to relax and feel calm.
I think what I'm enjoying the most is that this is going to sound terrible, but that I'm not wrong. So what I'm doing isn't a set thing. I know when I was very young, because I couldn't see the color in the lines or do those things, it wasn't quite right. There's no restrictions. And that is a freeing thing all in itself.
No restrictions, no expectations, and no judgment. And I find that as we get older, we take art classes and we're graded and there's expectations placed on us. So what's wonderful about art therapy is that it allows us to be free and to use the materials any way that we need. So any type of use of material, the things that you make, whether it's abstract or whether it's recognizable art, it's what the person needs. They will create a response to their emotional needs through the materials in the process. No judgment.
I love that. And I've picked up another from the box. I've picked up another, I want to say like a metal, kind of like a small cookie cutter. And it feels like it's a heart, I believe. So we've got a heart.
Yeah, you've chosen a heart-shaped
And I'm going to
cutter.
I think I can use either end. We're going to try.
There might be one that's sharper than the other side, but neither one of them will harm you when you press down into it. So this way you can feel the texture of the imprint. So you can feel the impression of the heart. But then if you push through all the way, then you would actually have the shape of the heart that you could take out, just like you would with the cookie shape. And there it comes out.
Okay. Oh, I pushed that in there. I pushed that in there pretty good.
Oh, it might not come out looking like a heart, but again, no judgment.
And it's squishy and it's fabulous. You mentioned what just stood out to me is pine cones. So we can go on that sense of smell as well. So if there's things, certain times a year has different meaning, right? This is so amazing. I can see how just integrating different forms, any form of art into daily life can really be beneficial. So I've had an amazing experience with this clay and just the feeling of the different tools that I've been using. So I've got a lot to think about and a lot to play with. So I hope you all take a little bit of art into your lives as well. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Bobbi.
Produced by Honeycut Studios. Host Bobbi Janzen. Accessibility consultant Sierra Roth. Special thanks to Diane Shannon Art Therapy. Integrated Described Video Consultant Ron Rickford. Content Development Specialist Jim Crisco. Supervising Producer Jennifer Johnson. Director Programming Lisanne Gagne. Director Content Development and Production Kara Nye. Vice President Content Development and Operations John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2024 Accessible Media Inc.
An AMI original production.